Adara sat in the pilot's seat, her fingers hovering over the glowing controls of their sleek starship, Astralis. The vast black void of space stretched out before her, punctuated by the distant glittering stars of the Andromeda Galaxy. Normally, the quiet hum of the ship's engine was a comfort, but today, that familiar sound had taken on a worrisome tone. The engine was struggling, sputtering after a recent encounter with a debris field that had damaged vital systems. "Kaylina, how's the core looking?" Adara called out, her voice tinged with concern. Kaylina floated over from the engine compartment, her expression serious. Her emerald green skin glowed faintly in the dim light, and her sharp, almond-shaped eyes flicked to the diagnostic screen. "Not good," she replied. "The cooling system's shot. If we don't find a water source soon, the core will overheat, and we'll be adrift in space." Adara glanced at the star map projected in front of her, searching for any planets nearby that could support water. Most of them were either uninhabitable gas giants or barren, rocky wastelands. But one planet caught her attention, a blue and green orb on the far edge of the system. "Earth. Primitive world," Adara muttered, zooming in on the map. "But it has water." Kaylina raised an eyebrow, her long, turquoise hair floating weightlessly in the zero gravity. "Isn't that the one with the... what do they call them? Humans?" Adara nodded, her fingers dancing across the control panel. "Yes, humans. They're not a spacefaring species yet. But their planet has the resources we need. We'll make a quick stop, gather what we can, and leave before they even notice." The ship shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere, the hull groaning under the strain. Flames licked the sides of the ship as they descended rapidly, the heat shields barely holding up. Outside the viewport, clouds whipped by, and the ground below quickly came into view, a vast expanse of forests and small clusters of human dwellings. "Brace yourself," Adara shouted as the ship careened toward the surface. With a bone-jarring crash, the Astralis slammed into the ground, skidding through the dense trees and carving a deep trench in the forest. Leaves and branches were thrown into the air as the ship came to a halt, half buried in the earth. Adara groaned as she unclipped herself from her seat. "Damage report?" Kaylina winced, shaking off the impact. "We're mostly intact, but the engine's fried. We'll need to cool the core manually." Adara glanced out of the viewport, her silver eyes scanning the thick canopy of trees. "Water should be nearby. Let's suit up and go find some." The two aliens pressed their wrists, activating their Zenaran environmental suits. The smooth, flexible material coated their bodies in a shimmering armor that adjusted to Earth's atmosphere. Adara's suit was a deep, iridescent blue, while Kaylina's glowed with a soft green hue. Exiting the ship, they found themselves in a quiet, peaceful forest. Birds chirped in the distance, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. The air was rich with the scent of damp earth and greenery, so different from the sterile environments of space. "I'm picking up signs of human life," Kaylina said, consulting her wrist communicator. "Not far from here." "Let's move quickly," Adara replied, stepping lightly through the underbrush. "The less contact we have with the locals, the better." As they moved through the forest, the sound of running water grew louder, and soon they came across a small, clear stream. Adara knelt beside it, cupping her hands to gather some of the cool, refreshing liquid. "This will work," she said, standing up. "But we'll need more than just a trickle." Kaylina glanced around, her sharp eyes catching sight of something through the trees. "Look over there, those structures. I think they're human dwellings." Adara followed her gaze and saw the rooftops of a suburban neighborhood just beyond the edge of the forest. "Let's investigate. There might be larger water sources nearby." They approached cautiously, moving with the grace and silence of seasoned explorers. The houses were small and unassuming, with manicured lawns and neat rows of flowers. A strange mix of technology and simplicity, far behind the advanced cities of Zanara, but charming in its own way. As they crept closer to one of the houses, a strange sound caught their attention. a soft hissing, like the flow of water. The scent of fresh, clean water filled the air, stronger than what they had found in the forest. "What's that?" Kaylina asked, her curiosity piqued. Adara narrowed her eyes, following the sound. It was coming from inside the house, through an open window. Peeking through the glass, they saw a human woman entering a small room made entirely of smooth, shiny materials. A strange apparatus hung from the wall, and as the woman turned a knob, water began to spray down from above, raining over her head in a steady stream. "What kind of purification ritual is this?" Adara whispered, her voice tinged with wonder. "They're using water to cleanse themselves." Kaylina's eyes widened as she watched the woman step under the stream, letting the water cascade over her body. "It's not just cleansing. It looks enjoyable." Adara's heart raced with excitement. This wasn't just a water source, it was something more. Something the Zinarans had never encountered before. A way to interact with water that went beyond mere survival, beyond practicality. "I have to see this up close," Kaylina said, her voice filled with a sense of adventure. Before Adara could stop her, Kaylina was already moving, her lithe form slipping through the window with ease. Adara followed close behind, unable to resist the pull of this strange human ritual. The scent of water, fresh and inviting, filled the small room as they stepped inside. As they stood silently in the bathroom, watching the water cascade down from the showerhead, something stirred within both of them. A sense of curiosity, excitement, and discovery. Adara reached out, letting her fingers brush the falling water. It was warm, gentle, and oddly exhilarating. "This is incredible," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Kaylina grinned, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "I think we've just stumbled upon one of Earth's greatest treasures." The two alien explorers stood in awe, unaware that their journey had just taken a wild, unexpected turn, one that would change how they viewed this primitive planet forever. Adara stood mesmerized by the warm stream of water pouring from the human device. The sensation of Earth's atmosphere was already strange, thicker than Zanara's thin, ionized air, but the water was something else entirely. It wasn't just cleansing, it was soothing, almost meditative. The rhythmic splatter of droplets against the tiles filled the small room with a calming hum. "This is unlike anything we've seen," Adara murmured. Her blue skin shimmered under the mist, taking in the soft glow of the human bathroom's overhead lights. Kaylina, standing beside her, couldn't resist anymore. She stepped closer to the cascading water, her green eyes wide with childlike wonder. "You're right. It's not just functional. It's pleasurable." Without hesitation, Kaylina reached out and dipped her hand under the stream, her emerald green skin catching the droplets as they trickled down her fingers. A delighted laugh escaped her lips. "This feels incredible. Humans are more advanced than we gave them credit for. They've harnessed water in a way we never have," Adara replied, smiling as she watched Kaylina's reaction. "This is how they experience their environment intimately." Kaylina, unable to resist, stepped fully into the shower, letting the water flow over her entire body. Her smooth, alien skin sparkled as the droplets danced across her, refracting the light in mesmerizing patterns. She closed her eyes, savoring the sensation. "This is pure bliss," she exclaimed, her voice echoing off the tiled walls. "I've never felt anything like it. It's like the water is massaging my entire being." Adara, more cautious but just as intrigued, stepped closer, hesitating for only a moment before joining Kaylina. The moment the warm water hit her skin, she gasped. Her silver hair, flowing freely down her back, shimmered under the stream, and a strange sense of relaxation washed over her. "I see what you mean," Adara said, her voice soft. "It's like being submerged in a healing energy field, but more tactile." The two aliens stood there for several moments, letting the water cascade over them. The shower was a marvel of simplicity, yet its impact on their senses was profound. It wasn't just the warmth or the soothing pressure, It was the connection to the natural element, a connection the technologically advanced race had long since forgotten. "This water is so pure," Kalina said, running her fingers through her damp, emerald-colored hair. "It's rejuvenating us. I can feel it strengthening my energy." Adara nodded, but her mind was already racing. There was something deeper to this experience. Humans, for all their primitiveness, had developed something that transcended mere physical necessity. She began to wonder if this ritual, this connection to water, was part of what made them unique. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps approaching from the other side of the house. The humans. Their presence had gone unnoticed as they became lost in the experience, but now someone was coming closer. The rhythm of footsteps grew louder, and the door handle to the bathroom turned. "Kalina, we have to go," Adara whispered, panic flashing in her eyes. But it was too late. The door swung open, and standing there was a human woman, her expression frozen in shock. Her dark brown hair was damp from her shower, and she had wrapped herself in a towel that now hung precariously from her shoulders. She blinked, mouth agape, as she took in the sight before her, two stunning, otherworldly beings standing in her shower, glowing faintly as water cascaded over their alien forms. There was a long, heavy pause. Adara and Kalina stood completely still, water still falling around them, unsure of what to do. The human woman's wide brown eyes darted between the two of them, her mind seemingly struggling to process the situation. "Who what?" she stammered, stepping back instinctively. "Who are you? What are you?" Kalina, quick to react, raised her hands defensively. "Wait. Don't be afraid. We're not here to harm you." Adara, sensing the woman's fear, quickly stepped forward, her expression calm and soft. "We are explorers from another world," she explained in a soothing voice. "We came here by accident. Your shower intrigued us." The human woman blinked several times, as though trying to convince herself that what she was seeing wasn't real. You're aliens?" "Yes," Adara said, smiling gently. "We mean no harm. We didn't know how else to explain ourselves." The woman's shock gradually faded into a mix of confusion and awe. She stood in the doorway, still holding onto her towel, clearly unsure whether to scream or laugh. "Aliens. In my bathroom. Using my shower." She let out a short, incredulous laugh. "This is insane." Kalina, ever the bold one, stepped out from under the stream, shaking off droplets like a cat emerging from a bath. "We didn't mean to intrude. But your water system, it's fascinating. We had no idea humans could use water in such a way." The woman, who had finally composed herself, crossed her arms, still not sure how to react. "Well, showers are pretty common here. I just didn't expect two glowing, beautiful aliens to be taking one in my house." Adara nodded, her long silver hair now dripping with water. "We needed water to cool our ship's engine, but when we saw your shower, we became distracted. It's an amazing device." The woman raised an eyebrow, then finally let out a full, genuine laugh. "I guess I can't blame you for that. A hot shower after a long day is one of the best things on Earth." Kalina's eyes sparkled. "This is normal for humans? You do this often?" "All the time," the woman replied, shaking her head in amusement. "It's one of the little pleasures of life here." Adara and Kalina exchanged glances, their excitement growing. They had uncovered something more than just a water source. They had found a gateway to understanding human life in a way they had never expected. The human woman, still wrapped in her towel, finally extended her hand. "I'm Sarah, by the way. And I guess. Welcome to Earth?" Adara took the gesture with a smile. "I'm Adara. And this is Kalina." Sarah shook her head, still laughing at the absurdity of the situation. "You two just randomly crash land on Earth and decide to jump into my shower. You're lucky I didn't freak out." Kalina smirked, her curiosity bubbling over. I can't help but wonder what other human rituals we've yet to discover. Sarah grinned back at her. Oh, trust me, there's a lot more to human life than just showers. Adara stepped out of the water, standing beside Kalina. We've been to many worlds, she said, her tone growing serious. But this, what we've experienced today, it's more than we could have ever imagined. There's something special about this planet. Sarah chuckled, shaking her head. Well, you've only just scratched the surface. The two alien explorers smiled, their eyes glowing with excitement. If this simple human ritual could evoke such a powerful response, what else did this world have to offer? They had come in search of water, but what they had found was something far more valuable. A new chapter in their exploration of the galaxy had begun, and Earth, with all its wet and wild wonders, was the perfect place to start. As the warm water continued to pour over them, Adara and Kalina felt a sense of euphoria they hadn't experienced in all their galactic travels. The simple human shower had unlocked sensations they didn't know were possible, each droplet invigorating their alien senses in ways that defied explanation. They laughed softly, exchanging wide-eyed glances, marveling at the strange beauty of Earth's customs. Sarah, now leaning against the bathroom doorway with her towel wrapped firmly around her, watched the two aliens with a mix of awe and disbelief. I still can't get over this, she said, shaking her head with a grin. Aliens in my shower. If I told anyone, they'd think I was nuts. Adara, still enjoying the steady flow of water on her smooth blue skin, gave Sarah an appreciative nod. Your world is fascinating. Even the most mundane aspects of human life are extraordinary to us. Kalina, her emerald green skin shimmering under the soft glow of the bathroom lights, smiled mischievously. If this is what humans do to unwind, I can't imagine what other secrets your planet holds. Sarah chuckled, crossing her arms. You have no idea. But I'm not sure Earth is ready for you two yet. Adara tilted her head curiously. Why is that? Sarah opened her mouth to respond, but before she could answer, the faint sound of a car engine rumbled from outside. Her eyes widened with sudden alarm. Oh no, she muttered under her breath, glancing toward the front of the house. My roommate's home. Kalina perked up. Roommate? Is that another human? Yes, and she's not exactly as chill as I am about surprise visitors, let alone two extraterrestrials, Sarah said, her voice rising in urgency. You need to hide. Adara and Kalina exchanged quick glances. Hide? Kalina asked, clearly unfamiliar with the concept. Why? We've done nothing wrong. I get that, Sarah said, rushing to the window to peek outside. But humans aren't used to, you know. Glowing blue and green women from another planet appearing out of nowhere. It might freak her out. Adara took a step towards Sarah, her curiosity piqued. Humans are afraid of the unknown? Most of us, yeah, Sarah replied, biting her lip. We're not all as open-minded as me. She'll call the cops or worse, and then you'll be on every news channel and government radar in the world. Kalina's face darkened. That would be a problem. We must remain undetected until we can repair our ship. The sound of a car door slamming shut sent a jolt of urgency through the air. Sarah turned back to the aliens, her eyes wide. Please, you have to hide. Anywhere. I'll try to buy you some time. Without waiting for a response, Sarah hurried out of the bathroom, leaving Adara and Kalina standing there, dripping wet and utterly perplexed by the human's urgency. Hide? Kalina repeated, turning to Adara. Where could we possibly hide in here? Adara scanned the small bathroom. Humans seem to fear things they do not understand. We must respect their need for secrecy. Kalina glanced around, her eyes falling on a large wooden wardrobe tucked into the corner of the room. What about that? Adara raised an eyebrow. A wardrobe? It's far too small for the both of us. Kalina grinned. Not if we phase shift. Adara sighed, but there was no time to argue. She tapped her wrist communicator, and both their bodies shimmered briefly before they became semi-translucent, their physical forms phasing into a lower density. In this altered state, they moved effortlessly through the material world, slipping into the cramped wardrobe without a sound, becoming nearly invisible to the naked eye. As they settled into the small space, they could hear the front door creak open, followed by the sound of footsteps and Sarah's voice rising in an overly cheerful tone. "Hey, Jess," Sarah called from the front room. "You're home early." "Yeah," came the voice of the roommate Jess, apparently. Her voice was casual but tired, the kind of voice that belonged to someone who had just finished a long day of work. "Work was slow, so I cut out early." "What's up?" "Oh, just relaxing," Sarah replied, the strain in her voice unmistakable. "How was your day?" "Fine." "What's that smell?" Jess asked, her voice getting closer as she moved through the house. "It smells like something burning." Sarah let out a nervous laugh. "Oh, that? I tried to cook something earlier. Didn't go well. Ended up ordering takeout." The footsteps stopped just outside the bathroom door. Adara and Kalina, still hiding in the wardrobe in their phased state, could feel the tension rising. Jess was standing just a few feet away, separated only by the thin wooden door. "You're cooking now?" Jess asked, sounding both surprised and suspicious. "Since when?" Sarah fumbled for a response. Just trying new things. Gotta expand my horizons, right?" There was a long, awkward pause. Adara could almost feel the human suspicion radiating through the door. Then, finally, Jess let out a sigh. "Well, don't burn the house down." Sarah laughed nervously. "Yeah, no worries there." The sound of footsteps receded, and Adara and Kalina remained perfectly still, waiting. After a few tense moments, Sarah's voice drifted back to them, this time in a quiet whisper. "Okay, you can come out. She's in her room." The wardrobe door creaked open, and Adara and Kalina carefully stepped out, phasing back into their full physical forms. Sarah stood in the bathroom doorway, looking more relieved than they had ever seen a human look. "That was close," Sarah said, wiping a bead of sweat from her brow. "If she had walked in here, I don't know how I would have explained all of this." Adara nodded solemnly. "We appreciate your assistance, Sarah. It seems humans are more cautious than we anticipated." "Yeah, well, we're not exactly used to visitors like you," Sarah replied, glancing back over her shoulder to make sure Jess wasn't nearby. "I think you guys should probably get out of here before she comes back out." Kalina looked disappointed. "But we were just beginning to understand the beauty of your water rituals." Sarah chuckled despite the tension. "Trust me, there's plenty more to experience on Earth, but right now, you need to lay low. I don't want to get you in trouble or myself for that matter." Adara stepped forward, her expression serious. "We need to gather water to repair our ship, and then we will leave. However, our curiosity about Earth has only deepened. We wish to learn more." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You want to learn more about Earth?" Kalina nodded eagerly. "Your customs, your technology, your way of life. There is much we could gain from this experience. Perhaps we could stay, in secret." Sarah hesitated, glancing toward the closed door where Jess was. "I don't know. It's risky. What if someone else sees you?" Adara smiled softly. "We are not without our own abilities. We can avoid detection easily, and we have no intention of revealing our presence. You could help us understand more of your world." Sarah considered this for a moment, then finally let out a sigh of resignation. "Fine, but you'll have to be careful. If Jess or anyone else finds out about you too, things could get complicated really fast." Kaylina grinned, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Don't worry. We're experts at avoiding trouble. Adara nodded in agreement. Thank you, Sarah. Your cooperation will be remembered. For now, we will gather what we need and depart until it is safe to return. Sarah smiled, shaking her head in disbelief. This is the weirdest day of my life, but... Sure. Why not? Just promise me one thing. What's that? Adara asked. Next time you show up, try not to start with the whole breaking into my shower thing, Sarah said, a playful smirk on her face. Kaylina laughed softly. No promises. Night had fallen over Sarah's quiet suburban neighborhood, the moon casting a pale glow over the neatly lined houses and the dense forest beyond. Inside Sarah's house, Adara and Kaylina stood in the dimly lit living room, their eyes wide with wonder as they absorbed their first prolonged glimpse of human life on Earth. They had spent years exploring the most advanced civilizations across the galaxy, yet there was something about this small, ordinary human home that fascinated them. Sarah, now more relaxed after the close call with her roommate, leaned against the kitchen counter, watching the two aliens with a bemused smile. So, you guys are really into Earth, huh? I mean, you've only seen my bathroom, and you're already hooked. Kaylina turned away from the window, where she had been staring at the twinkling lights of passing cars, her emerald green skin glowing faintly in the moonlight. There's so much about your world that intrigues us. Your customs, your technologies, even your simple pleasures. That shower was a revelation. Adara, ever the more composed of the two, nodded thoughtfully. We've seen many advanced civilizations, but Earth has a unique charm. There's a simplicity to your way of life that we have forgotten on Zanara. Everything is connected to nature in ways we didn't expect. Sarah chuckled, crossing her arms. Trust me, most people don't think of modern life as connected to nature. We're more likely to be glued to our phones or sitting in traffic than, enjoying the great outdoors. Adara raised an eyebrow, curious. Phones? Traffic? Sarah laughed, realizing just how much her new alien friends didn't know about everyday human life. Oh, you've got a lot to learn. But I guess if you've been zipping around the galaxy, our little planet must seem pretty basic. Kaylina shook her head, her glowing eyes filled with excitement. Not at all. Your technology might not be as advanced as other species we've encountered, but the way humans experience life is fascinating. You've developed rituals around water, food, and even relaxation that are unlike anything we've ever seen. Adara stepped closer to Sarah, her silver hair catching the light as it flowed around her shoulders. We want to experience more of your world. The shower was only the beginning. We have never felt something so simple and yet so fulfilling. Sarah raised an eyebrow, a playful smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. You two are like kids in a candy store. But if you really want to experience life on Earth, there's more to it than showers. I could show you around, let you see how humans really live. Kaylina's face lit up with excitement. Yes. That's exactly what we want. We need to understand more about Earth. Sarah chuckled. Okay, but we need to keep things low-key. I can't have you glowing and phasing through walls in public. Adara nodded, understanding the need for secrecy. We can mask our appearance. Humans will not see us as we truly are. With a soft hum, Adara and Kaylina both activated the cloaking functions embedded in their Zenaran suits. Their skin shimmered briefly before fading into a more human-like appearance. Adara's once blue complexion now appeared pale and delicate, her silver hair transforming into a cascade of soft, raven-black strands. Kaylina's vibrant green skin darkened to a warm bronze, and her otherworldly glow dimmed to something more subtle, almost like a healthy radiance. Sarah's eyes widened. Wow! You two could pass for supermodels. Kaylina smirked, admiring her new reflection in the window. I like this look. Humans have an interesting aesthetic. Adara glanced at her reflection and then turned to Sarah. Where should we begin? What do humans do for fun? Sarah thought for a moment, trying to figure out the best way to introduce the two aliens to Earth without causing a scene. Well, it's late, so most places are closed. Except for bars and clubs. But I don't think you two are ready for that. Kalina's eyes lit up. Clubs? What are those? Sarah grinned. It's where humans go to dance, listen to music, and let loose. But it can get a little wild. Wild? Adara's curiosity was piqued. What do you mean by that? Sarah sighed, realizing she was about to open a whole new can of worms. It's like a party. People dance, drink, sometimes make questionable choices. You might like it, but it could be overwhelming. Kalina's face broke into a wide grin. I love the sound of this. It sounds like a gathering ritual. We have similar celebrations on Zanara, though they involve more levitation and mental synchronization. Sarah laughed, shaking her head in disbelief. You've got to be kidding me. Mental synchronization? I'm not sure Earth clubs are that advanced, but if you're up for it, I can take you to a place nearby. Adara hesitated. Are you sure it's wise? We must not draw attention to ourselves. Sarah shrugged. If you stay in disguise and act like normal humans, no one will even notice. Besides, it'll be a good way to blend in. After a brief discussion, the three of them made their way outside. The air was cool, the night sky sparkling with stars. Adara and Kalina marveled at the strange beauty of Earth's moon, casting long shadows over the quiet street. Sarah led them to her car, a simple compact vehicle, and the two aliens looked at it with a mix of curiosity and confusion. You travel in these? Adara asked, peering into the car's interior. It seems inefficient. Sarah laughed. Yeah, I bet your spaceship's a lot faster. But this is how we get around here. After a bit of awkwardness getting them into the car, Sarah drove toward a nearby club, all the while explaining the basics of human social interaction. Kalina was particularly fascinated by the idea of dancing, while Adara seemed more interested in the psychological aspects of human behavior. When they finally arrived, the soft thump of music echoed in the distance. The club was alive with lights, laughter, and the pulsing beat of electronic music. As they approached the entrance, the energy of the place hit Adara and Kalina like a wave. It was unlike anything they had ever felt, so raw, so unrestrained. Sarah grinned at their reactions. Welcome to Earth's version of letting loose. Just follow my lead, and you'll blend right in. Inside the club, neon lights danced across the walls, and the floor was packed with people moving to the rhythm of the music. The air was thick with excitement, and Adara and Kalina, despite their usual calm and composed nature, couldn't help but feel drawn into the pulse of the environment. Kalina immediately found herself captivated by the music, her body moving instinctively to the beat. She laughed as she spun around, her movements fluid and graceful, drawing curious glances from nearby dancers who seemed impressed by her natural rhythm. Adara, meanwhile, observed the crowd with a keen eye. She noticed how humans communicated nonverbally through touch, through gestures, through eye contact. There was an intimacy to it, a connection that fascinated her. Humans communicate so much with just their bodies, Adara remarked, watching a couple share a quiet moment in the middle of the chaos. They express themselves in ways we never considered. Sarah smiled, joining her on the edge of the dance floor. Yeah, we do. Sometimes words aren't enough. As the night wore on, Adara and Kalina fully embraced the experience, moving through the crowd with growing confidence. Kalina's infectious energy attracted a group of dancers around her, who cheered as she spun and twirled with effortless grace. Adara, more reserved, found herself immersed in conversations with curious strangers who were drawn to her calm yet mysterious presence. For the first time, they weren't just observers of human life, they were a part of it. By the time they left the club, the sun was beginning to rise, casting a soft glow over the city. The three of them walked back to the car, exhausted but exhilarated by the night's events. "I can't believe that just happened," Sarah said, laughing as she unlocked the car. "You two fit right in." Kaylina, still buzzing with excitement, grinned. "That was amazing. Humans know how to celebrate life." Adara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "There is so much to learn from this world. It's more complex than we realized." Sarah smiled. "Well, there's a lot more where that came from. But for now, I think you two need to rest." As they drove back to Sarah's house, the two aliens reflected on their wild adventure. What had started as a simple quest for water had turned into something far greater, a journey of discovery, not just of Earth, but of themselves. The human experience, with all its imperfections, was something they had never anticipated. It was raw, real, and exhilarating in ways they had never imagined. And they were only just getting started.